みんなが聞き惚れてるうちに取ってきます。
何かね。
年代物のワインがあるんです。
おお。
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror! The Perverts Have Spoken, and they are going to be speaking about last night's episode for quite a while. Oh my goodness. That, not only was there just a lot of perversion in that movie, but it was a really well layered, deep, philosophical, psychological movie. And honestly, you know, a lot of people won't be able to get past the salacious aspects of it, but man, dig deep, and you find that gold nugget of awesomeness. Anyways, so, well, of course, the movie is Star of David, beautiful girl hunter, just in case you didn't know by the opening and all this stuff. Anyways, but tonight, we are talking about another movie going across the pond from Japan to China, and that movie is The Rape After. And now, thinking about it, the title, you're thinking, oh my goodness, there's going to be some violent, horrible rape going on in this movie. Well, not what you're thinking. See, I think that this title is secretly brilliant because it's called The Rape After. It's like, after what? And I think what it actually is referring to is that what happens after the initial act of horrificness is what happens to the victims of the angry spirit. That is the real rape that is happening in this movie. So, honestly, the title is quite brilliant. Either that or it's just a bad English translation, which is completely possible, and in that case, disregard everything I said because then it's, you know, not. But I want to think it's secretly brilliant because really what happens to these people are horrible. But let's get into the story. So we have this beautiful lady, and she's a model, and she's worked on this photo shoot for this advertisement, and the photographer decides to take her back to his place, and they have some drinks. One of the craziest line type back and forth exchange too is like, you know, he breaks out the champagne, and she's like, I don't drink. He goes, what, you're afraid I'm going to take advantage of the situation? It's like, no, I just don't drink. And he goes, well, I don't drink either. So let's both get drunk and not take advantage of the situation. And of course she smiles and they have a big, huge drinking contest. Does that work? Anybody in, like, reality? I mean, seriously. Anyways, so like 3 or 4 bottles later, they are vomiting drunk. Literally, there's a thing about this movie and vomiting. It happens quite often. And I'm honestly not a fan of the vomitatious stuff because it is kind of sickening. But anyways, so she passes out on the bed. Well, for some reason, she can't sleep with clothes on. So she takes off all her clothes and goes into bed naked while he kind of passes out like in the dining area. And by the way, during the photo shoot they were at this temple place, whatever. There's a lot of weird coincidences in this movie too. Bad plot, that's basically what it is. And there's this demon statue, and apparently the photographer is a collector of rare and unique statues, so he decides to just steal it. You know, oh, there's a bunch of wards on it too, so he tear off all those wards and just steals it. Anyways, so during the night, while they're both passed out, the spirit within that demon statue, they call it a sphinx, by the way, I guess, their English translation for it, whatever. Anyways, comes on and has sex with the passed out woman. And, you know, it's not really graphic, and that's the rape that happens there. I mean, you know, definitely non-consensual activity going on. But when you read the title, you're thinking of, like, you know, back alley, you know, tear the clothes off, you know, the movie sensationalization of which. But this was really just, you know, oh, he's there, does the deed, and it's over. And honestly, there's like literally no nudity in this movie. So if you're thinking that this is going to be like a smut fest, think again. This is a straight up by the numbers kind of horror movie in a way, which honestly kind of reminds me of some Italian zombie movies, but we're going to get into that later. So, of course, you know, she becomes pregnant, and the photographer person decides to take her to this abortion doctor, and the spirit don't take a liking to that, and the spirit shows up and kills like the assistant, who is actually kind of a bitch, because she said that she gives the girl anesthesia, and she goes, you know, you wouldn't be here if you used like precautions and stuff. Really? I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks for being somewhat understanding, but maybe she's got a little bit of a point. But then again, she was drunk and demon raped, so, you know, precaution, maybe don't get in the realm of demon places or something, but I don't see how she could have avoided that whole situation anyways, besides, you know, not getting drunk off her ass. But I digress. So she gets killed, the doctor gets a syringe in the eye, and she runs off, and fast forward, I guess, a bit of time. This guy, the photographer, gets involved with this lady who's the daughter of the guy who runs like the mansion, whatever, that had the demon statue. So that's convenient that he had the statue that he stole from them and ends up with the daughter and is going to get married. Anyways, the girl, the model, shows up, says, hey, you need to drive me to the hospital so I can have the baby. And they have this big argument in the car, and the car crashes, and every car crash in every movie always ends with an explosive fireball. And of course he escapes, but she's in there and she's burning to death, and she's like, you'll pay for this, you'll pay for this. And boy, do they pay. Oh my goodness. So what follows is the rape after, which is just spirit zombie violence. I mean, they're doing the autopsy on her, and she's pregnant, like huge pregnant, which honestly you couldn't tell by looking at the actress during any of the scenes. But of course in the autopsy she's just huge. And the guys performing the autopsy, like the stomach is moving, so they cut it open. It's like they remove some stuff, and then the guy's looking inside, and then some hands come out, and then pulls his head off, and it's like, and you don't really hear anything about that afterwards. I would think there would be some like super investigation about how like a corpse, you know, has someone's head get decapitated during the autopsy. I mean, but whatever. They're gonna send her to a place to lay and rest, but and like demon baby comes out with the umbilical cord. It's just ghoulish and horrible and wonderful all at the same time, and then we get the happy family, the old man, the maid, and the daughter and the photographer. They're all like having dinner, and the maid is like, she's cooking, and she hears something. She goes, looks out the window, and sees the charred remains, zombie spirit demon woman. And then she gets possessed, and she chops some more vegetables, and then her fingers, and then just chop right into her head. I mean, like literally, when you're looking at it, it's like almost all the way in there, and she's just running around, and she's just blood and screaming. And in the dining room, they're like, huh, you hear something? I don't know, maybe. Anyway, so she's like flailing around, and then all of a sudden she falls down and hits this pot of boiling water, and the boiling water gets on her. I mean, talk about overkill. But then she screams again, and then they're like, oh wait, we hear something. And they run over, and there she is. She's all like messed up, freaking cleaver all the way into her skull. And the guy's like, call an ambulance. And I'm more like, call a mortician. She should be freaking dead by now. But anyways, of course she dies, and kind of at the remembrance, the father is all going, it's like, I can't imagine she'd die like this. I'm like, who would imagine anyone would die like that? I mean, you know, I always envisioned my death to be chopping off my hands, taking a cleaver in the face, and then just getting boiling water poured on top of me. That's how I imagined it. Why didn't you? Anyways, so what goes on, and I don't want to explain everything and ruin the entire movie, but oh my god, there's like this constipation shitter scene that's so just like that's got to be the worst way to go. But it is a slow starting movie where you're just kind of going like, this is really somewhat more mundane and run-of-the-mill, and then it just kind of gets fucking insane and nuts toward the end, which is wonderful, because at first I'm going like, oh, this is just going to be a bad movie, isn't it? And then it just went totally off the rails and became sort of like a zombie movie toward the end, and that's why I'm saying the way the zombies are done and the makeup and whatnot kind of reminds me of some cheesy Italian zombie movie. So cheesy, low-budget zombie Italian movie. Honestly, it just had that feeling, but yet it still had like the whole like Buddhist spiritual monk warfare thing going, like from Seeding of the Ghost. And so it really turns out to be a rather enjoyable, like, oh my god, look at that, oh wow, it becomes a spectacle. Sure, the movie isn't that great, the plot is, and the acting is, and there's no, like, wonderful kernels of nudity, but the gore effects and the violence and the absurdity just makes it a fun movie toward the end. I mean, you kind of have to get through some of the boringness of the beginning, but man, once that roller coaster ride begins, it is fun until the daddy takes your T-Bird away. I don't know even why I did that Beach Boys reference there, but whatever. Anyways, I'm crazy. So, in the end, we have the battle where we have just some really weird stuff, like this guy gets his ears ripped off, he falls from like the second story, and like the guy sees him, he's like, oh, he's got an axe, he's like, oh, don't fall on me, and uses the axe and hits him, and then he's like, you know, on the ground, he's like, are you okay? Like, ears got torn off, he fell from a second story building, and you hit him with an axe on his way down. Yeah, he's fine, man. Just gonna walk it off. Just walk it off. Just push, you know. But it's just ridiculous. I don't even know, like, this burial ground or whatever. What kind of place in Hong Kong is this where it's, like, just rotting and falling apart, and they just have bodies and caskets everywhere, and the caretaker is, like, some drunken guy who can end up dying during his shift, and nobody figures it out or, like, notices that, hey, you know, there's a drunken dead guy on top of one of the caskets. Maybe we should clean it up or something. I guess he's the only one who ever goes to that place or whatever. I mean, someone's got to light the fire candelabras, right? I mean, yeah, you're just going to let some guy come in there and perform some ritual, start a fire on the floor, and possibly desecrate a bunch of corpses, but whatever, man. It's China, right? We don't have laws against that stuff or whatever. Anyways, as I'm watching this movie, I was feeling like, man, you know what? They should just remake this movie. Still set it back in that time period, though, in China, during that time period. And this just, like, remake it with some better special effects and some better acting and a more cohesive storyline. And you would probably get a really good movie out of that. I mean, the movie is cheesy and over the top, and like I said, you know, the plot is weird, and the acting is suspect, but in the end, it's an enjoyable experience. And so, anyways, you know, my enjoyment factor for this movie is probably like a 3.5 out of 5. But my overall impression, because It's got a lot of issues and a lot of problems. I'm going to give it an above average 3 out of 5 just because my enjoyment was up there, and it has some nice violence and some nice gore. You know, not the best gore effects, but still I appreciate a good decapitation here and there, and some face ripping and things like that. So, you know, kudos. So in the end, yeah, I'm gonna give it, it's a solid, enjoyable 3 out of 5. Though be careful about the beginning, because it is kind of slow. But man, you trooper through it, man. That ending's, man, fun but cheesy and schlocky, but still gonna give it a schlock loving 3 out of 5. So there you have it, The Rape After, and episode 28 in the books on digital recorded media. And oh my goodness, that means what? We've got 29, 30, and 31, 3 episodes left, my friends, with Die Hard Dracula waiting in the wings. Oh, honestly, I'm not looking forward to it, but until then, internet, you guys stay scary and have some fun this Halloween. It's not too late to get out to a haunted house or anything, so, you know, go for it.